The British government is expected to release detailed plans of an alternative Brexit arrangement which would rule out the need for further extension. That's according to some reports in British newspapers this morning. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has promised to make Brexit happen by the end of this month, do or die. But he's hampered by opposition politicians in Parliament who have enacted laws to prevent a no-deal scenario. The new plan will include the UK's alternative to the so-called backstop, which is a safety net designed to prevent the return of a hard border on the island of Ireland. Speaking at the Conservative Party conference, the UK's Chancellor of the Exchequer reiterated the divorce deadline.
We've been very clear as a government, and that is we have to get Brexit done and leave on October the 31st. No more dither and delay. Your people are just fed up with the vote, the biggest exercise, democratic exercise in our country over 3 years ago, not being honoured. And as we've said as a government, we're working incredibly hard in getting a deal. I'm very much involved in that myself. A number of meetings I've had. We're making some good progress. We're not there yet, but good progress. But if we can't get the deal done, then we will leave with no deal. And that's why we're properly preparing for that as well.
We're joined now in the studio by our correspondent Alistair Sanford. Alistair, potential of this new deal. The EU have been waiting for this for weeks, if not months. What does it look like?
Yes, morning, Rosie. Yes, there's been frustration in EU circles for a long time. The claim that the UK simply isn't serious. Now we've got these reports from authoritative sources saying that the UK is to put forward a detailed plan this week, a legal text for a new Brexit deal. It's been submitting proposals behind the scenes. These technical talks have been going on in Brussels. There have been regular meetings in September. And according to the Irish broadcaster RTE, they've been putting forward non-legally binding documents to test the water, if you like. And now it's said that this is going to form a concrete plan. The idea to replace the backstop is to have customs clearing centres on both sides of the Irish border, not along the frontier itself, but several kilometres back. There are lots of technical details as to how it would work. It would involve technology such as tracking devices. There'd be customs declarations and data provided to customs authorities. The UK, of course, insists under Boris Johnson's government that Northern Ireland must leave the EU's customs union.
How different is this to other deals that we've seen put forward before?
Well, difficult to say until we actually see it in black and white, but it bears all the hallmarks of proposals that have been put forward by Boris Johnson and his supporters. They've long favoured technology as part of a solution for alternative arrangements to the backstop. It would head off the danger of a border down the Irish Sea, which unionists oppose, and it builds on proposals that are already put forward by London to the EU in the middle of September. It's already been dismissed by Labour, the main opposition in the UK, as utterly unworkable. And of course, the EU has always insisted that any alternative to the backstop must be legally credible, an absolute guarantee, like the backstop, that there'd be no need for a hard border.
And Boris Johnson has said countless times, it's Brexit, do or die. So it's clearly the next stage in his plan. What are his tactics here? Well,
it's all getting very tight. The UK is leaving at the end of the month. All eyes are on a crucial EU summit on October the 17th. Boris Johnson, of course, is in something of an impasse. He's held hostage by Parliament. They've passed this law saying he must seek an extension if there's no deal agreed. And he, of course, says not going to do that. So we've got the Tory conference this week with the big slogan, "Get Brexit Done." We've heard Sajid Javid there reinforcing the same message. It would be understandable if Boris Johnson wanted to try to take the initiative now and force the EU's hand and bring things to a head this weekend.
Alistair, thank you very much for that update. Well, we're joined now from Brussels by our correspondent Jack Parrick. Jack, morning to you. What kind of reception are these reported proposals likely to get in Brussels?
Good morning, Rosie. Well, I don't think they're going to get a very positive reception. We've seen the first reaction from the Irish Deputy Prime Minister Simon Coveney to these proposals, which came on what are called non-papers. He tweeted to say non-papers equal non-starters, that simply the Irish government would never go for this. You have to remember that the Irish backstop, the aspect of the EU's withdrawal agreement with the United Kingdom, is put in there as an insurance policy to ensure that there is no border infrastructure on the island of Ireland, with the idea that there would be none of that as the UK and the European Union negotiated a future free trade deal between the two sides. And so what Brussels and specifically the Irish are seeing here is an idea to replace the backstop with something that essentially the backstop was there to prevent in the first place: infrastructure along the Irish border, whether it's on that actual border or a few kilometres back. It's going to be a very hard sell for Boris Johnson to try and get this through with his European counterparts. They will be leafing through this morning to have an idea of exactly what's going to happen when that summit comes on October the 17th. They say that there will be intensified talks over the coming days, but we'll have to wait and see. It's hard to see whether these proposals will be able to avoid that no-deal Brexit come October the 31st.